So welcome to the Den this morning. So we are going to let you kick us off and give us your pitch. So go ahead.
Thank you. So, hi Grizzlies. Thank you for being here for us. My name is Januar Wirawan. Growing up in Indonesia as Catholic and Chinese trained me to be persistent. Ever since I was a young boy, my parents always told me to always put family as my first priority. After getting my degree from Texas A&M, my master's degree, I went back to Indonesia to start my career in the oil patch. In 2001, I moved my family here to Calgary to provide better future for my children. And now I'm an accomplished bilingual professional engineer. There are three factors that I found best to describe myself. I'm a finisher because I'd like to finish what I've started. I'm a mentor. I believe that my passion for mentoring helps elevate the competence of those around me. And mentoring also grows my own competence. And the third is that I'm an idea generator. I lead in a non-judgmental trusting family atmosphere where everybody is encouraged to express their ideas. Even the silliest idea may have some value in it. I pick Playmaker as my North Star because I am the ultimate team player. I make others better, and I always put team success before my own. Throughout my career in oil and gas, I also make place work. And that's exactly what I'm going to do when I make my pivot to hydrogen. I have an extensive experience and expertise in reservoir and development engineering, which is transferable to hydrogen production, well testing, exploration, researching and applying leading edge technology, asset valuation for A&D, performing song and dance in search for partners, project management, just to name a few. Currently, I'm in the initial stage of a discussion for potentially looking into hydrogen from regulatory point of view. I'm also researching any other possible work that I can do exploiting hydrogen value chain in Alberta. In addition to that, I've written several articles in LinkedIn to share my knowledge in hydrogen, my passion in hydrogen to my network, and also to highlight Alberta's tremendous hydrogen potential. I want to be involved in this, in bringing Alberta back to the world's energy stage. And I truly believe that hydrogen is the way to go. We have enormous potential, enormous resource under our feet, and we have the brain power to harvest it. Thank you, Higher Landing, for the opportunity to make this pitch in front of this great panel. Thank you, November Cohort, for your support and your friendship. And once again, thank you, Grizzlies. I would appreciate any advice, any insight, any potential context from you that can help me land higher. Thank you.
Grant, do you want to start us off with your questions this morning?
I really, really appreciated everything you have to say, and I'm going to prepare a job offer for you. Get in touch with me, please, Januar. That was succinct and comforting, and in line with you understand what my company's trying to do, and I think that you could fit within that realm. So, thank you.
Wow, I didn't expect that. But thank you very much, Grant. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, that's the first time I've sat on a Grizzly Den and had someone say, I'm going to call you with a job offer. Amazing. Amazing.
Wow. Well,
I
I
don't
don't know
even
what
know
to
how to
say.
follow. I don't even know how to follow that. What I would like to ask you, Januar, if you could maybe educate me a little bit. So you were talking about making a pivot to hydrogen, and we've heard that a couple of times this morning. So I was wondering about your perspective. What does it take to actually pivot to hydrogen? What do you have that is so unique or special that would make you successful in a pivot? And just to help educate me on that.
All right. So actually, Jackie asked me that question. What makes me stand out? Yeah, and 5 years ago, Allison, I would say that I'm a dang good engineer, right? But in this kind of age right now, with the COVID and the downturn of the oil and gas industry, I cannot say that anymore. There's a lot of good engineers out there, and they're a lot better than me, actually, right? So I have to say my passion is the one that stands out. So uh, that's why I keep learning about hydrogen. That's why I keep writing about hydrogen. You know, just to just to stay relevant, pretty much. So you know, I guess I have to thank Jackie for that guidance, and what how to stay relevant, pretty much. And I guess my expertise and my experience really work with the upstream hydrogen, like proton. So that's why I'm really interested to see your well test actually, Grant. Look at the data and all that stuff. And you mentioned at one presentation, I think, you mentioned that it's for sale. I want to buy it, but I don't think I can afford it. But I guess now I can see what your data is all about. It will be very interesting. Wow.
I'm okay to go next if that's okay. I'm not surprised that you have a lot of interest and that Grant would have provided something to you that I think could be very valuable. And the reason I say that, I would normally have asked you about what makes you stand out, but I think you showed that. Your opening, I thought, was clear, concise, and compelling, and I think those are things I look for. Don't give me a bunch of fluff and a bunch of things that don't make any sense. You were clear. The way you positioned yourself with hydrogen and the follow-up you've done on LinkedIn, et cetera, with your articles, you've positioned yourself for exactly what you just received from Grant. And if it's not Grant, it'll be somebody else. I think you're well positioned, and you've done a good job yourself in presenting yourself and presenting the market that you're interested in. So good on you for that. Frankly, when I see Pienge on a resume, I think, okay, well, this guy's going to probably think he's the smartest guy in the room. He's going to bore me to death, and he probably won't be a fit. That's, you did not do that. You were the opposite of that. And so my feedback is keep that up. You set yourself apart, and it was very much appreciated.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for that comment.
Okay, do we have some other Grizzlies that have some questions this morning? Cheryl, do you?
Oh, sure. My question is, who do you want to work for? So Januar, think very, very carefully before you answer this question. It's a test.
Well, in my first pitch, this is actually my third pitch, if you don't know about it. In my first and second pitch, I mentioned proton energy there. See, because Grant is here, I don't want it to be too obvious. That's why I didn't put in my pitch in this third pitch.
And tell us why. Tell us why then. That's what's most important. Why is that?
Well, first of all, it's the hydrogen business, right? It's, in my opinion, it's the most logical step that our oil and gas industry is supposed to go to. So, you know, I talked to a friend of mine yesterday. He asked for my resume. He was thinking of, you know, maybe if he got the money from the bank, then he will take me in. I was like, yeah, okay, maybe I will work for him, but my mind will still be in hydrogen because that work will be for now. Hydrogen is for the future, right? Then, you know, I should say also, I should mention that I'm a dad, I'm a father of two grown-up kids. My daughter was, my daughter graduated in 2016 from Queen's University with dual degree, chemical engineering and economics. My son is in his last year, last semester actually, in U of A in School of Business. So since my daughter graduated, she had two jobs and she got laid off twice. This is because of the downturn, because of the COVID, right? And I can see the struggle for my son also. You know, being in his last semester and all that. So when I look at hydrogen, this is the future. This would help my kids. This would help thousands of kids here in Alberta. So,
And so thank you, Januar. So, you know what, I'll say your resume was really clear. And then when you started speaking, who you are and what you want is very clear. And I think that excitement that you conveyed about hydrogen being part of Alberta's energy future is very important, and appreciate you conveying that with such energy and conviction. So thank you, and all the best to you.
thank you, Cheryl.
So I just want to say that really I liked your personal story because you can relate to the audience. You're very genuine. You tell us where you came from. You brought your family, and you want Alberta to be back to energy stage. So it's all really resonates with me. But I just have a question. Can you give us examples where you added value to the projects you worked on? Maybe one story or two where you really succeeded on your job?
Okay, so I have that prepared, and I hope, you know, that this is about the value that I brought to the company. You know, I always bring family wherever I go. So it's either my own family or my family at work, right? So whenever I go, there's always family around me, and that's just me. And yeah, and in this one instance, there's a there's a pretty much high tension between two engineers in my group. Sorry, one is in my group, the other one is from the reservoir engineering group in the company. So this is because of the presentation that we did to the SVP and all that stuff that didn't go well. And the tension was really, really high between the two persons. So the first thing I did was talk to the engineer from my group because he's just closer to me. He sat behind me in the cubicles, and I talked to him first. You know, I work with these two guys more than they work with each other, so I know them personally better. I talked to this friend of mine behind me, and I kind of lay it out to him. The guy is like that, and you have to understand him, and pretty much just, you know, trying to calm himself, right? And then after I talked to him, I called the other guy. Hey, let's have lunch. The answer was like, why? Let's have lunch. We'll talk. And then, I had lunch with him again, trying to calm him also. And, after that, after those two meetings, pretty much, we had another meeting, a bigger group. Those two were not talking to each other personally, but they discussed during the meeting. So I was happy with that. After several meetings, they started joking with each other and all that. So, I like doing that. I guess that's the biggest value that I can bring to a company, is bringing family into the fold. I hope I can still keep my job, Grant.
That's very good. Thank you.
Don't worry. Todd, do you have some comments or questions to make?
So I've got maybe two questions and a comment. I think in the first question, Januar, is there something wrong with your camera? Looking at your resume and all your basketball aficionado and experience, I was expecting someone maybe a little bit taller. Maybe your camera is compressing you a little bit.
Oh, talk about being tall. Okay. I'm 5'7". So whenever I play here, I'm always the shortest guy in the court. But where I come from Indonesia, I play center there. So so tall is relative.
It's all relative. You're exactly right. But no, back to your resume. I really liked your resume. I think that, first and foremost, it shows that you're a competent engineer. And what I really liked about it is not only did you put on your resume what it is that you did or have done, but you actually put on there what you accomplished. And you've got some real measurables that are, kind of eye-catching. When you talk about saving, $7 or $9 million in a horizontal well, 25% ROR, you've got very specific and concrete examples of value or size of projects that you've been involved in. And so it's not only about what you've done, but it's also about what you've accomplished. And that's great. And so, in your pitch, I would encourage you, you got to bring one or two of those in. What's the one that you're the proudest of? What's the one that you felt was the hardest and was the most valuable to deliver? And then those are comments. And my final question is you made the comment that you're an engineer in a world of a lot of engineers. What's the one thing that we should know about you? And maybe you've already answered this, but what's the one thing we should know about you that's not about being an engineer, but you bring to the table?
That's a good question. So I guess going back to my family value, right? I always, like I mentioned before, I always bring family everywhere I go. And, I'm proud of my own family, of my wife, my two kids. And I'm proud of my extended family too. In my previous job, all of the people in the group, I still have contacts with them. I still that's the hardest thing for me when I lost this job, right? It's not the company per se, but it's the family that I lost. So that's most and foremost for me. And then as being engineer, this has always been the hardest thing for me, selling myself. So I've been trying to do that, and the higher landing has, pounded some more into me. But I am an engineer that can lead. I've never had any managerial a managerial title, but I lead. Whether it's a well testing, whether it's a well startup, or whether it's a study, I lead. So that's what comes in my mind whenever when I started this higher landing program. At first I was just a plain engineer. right? And then I started thinking deeper and deeper into that. I'm a leader too. So that's I found that in me here in higher landing.
No, and I think that's excellent, Januar. I think that that kind of differentiation, makes a pretty important bundle for a prospective employer to look at. I think Grant's quite lucky to get a first crack in interviewing you.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, I think, Januar, you answered the aha moment question, and I'm sitting here thinking that really what's coming out for me is, leadership with heart, and, the way that you speak about family, whether it's, the blood family or the family at work, it's rather unusual to hear people speak that way. And so the compassion and the empathy is coming across, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions around the Grizzly Den this morning?
No.
Okay, hearing none, then I think Grizzlies, let's go to the breakout room. Januar, we'll be back to you momentarily. Presentation this morning. We are going to Grizzly certify you. How could we not? Because you're the first person that's ever had an offer of a job on a den. Amazing. So good.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Oh man.
So we do have some feedback for you, and we're going to start with Grant as long as we can hear him first, because he's the one that's going to help you out. So go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, sorry, I missed part of it, dropped out of coverage for a bit, but yeah, Januar, very obviously I'm happy to with how you presented yourself, and you did your homework. I appreciate that, and I think the topics you brought up, each one of them triggered something within me that intrigued me about you. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Grant. Thank you very much. I didn't expect that coming from you. My intention of coming to this Grizzly Den this time was actually trying to get conversation going, with you, and yeah, I was thinking of with Cheryl too in this sense, right? Trying to get connection and all that, but man, this is way beyond my expectation.
Well, I'm sorry that I couldn't counter offer Grant. I mean, I was wanting to, but I couldn't follow that through. So.
Todd, I think you had some comments in our debrief that perhaps you can share now.
Sure. Januar, it was a real pleasure meeting you, and I really liked your story. I liked being able to connect with you almost immediately. And as I said, your resume is really good. The fact that you build on your accomplishments and kind of lead into how that plays with what your vision is going forward, and is convincing about why you think you could deliver. I think the specific feedback that I mentioned was, for me, the convincibility of a candidate comes down to, that 3 levels of why in terms of what that person wants. And so, initially, when I saw start your pitch, I was going to ask, why hydrogen? Is that something you've read about in the newspaper? Is that because you're looking for a job and you heard it's a great market? Or, why to you is it the hydrogen? And then the second piece is, you gave a great answer for that. And it's good it's an abundant resource in Alberta, and it's good for Alberta. And my second question was, well, why is that important? And what you've managed to do is to get me through to, you believe hydrogen's a thing, you're committed to it, it's good for Alberta, and reason that's important is because actually it's good for your kids. And so suddenly you show a full level of commitment that really becomes engaging in a candidate that, not only are you successful, you can bring accomplishments and bring value, but you've already showed that you understand their skin in the game, and success to you is important. And that makes a connection very easy and very tangible. So congratulate you on that, and I wish you the best of luck. I think you're going to do great.
Thank you very much, Todd.
For me, I think right from the beginning, I thought you really were, it was very compelling. My overall thought was, I think you have leadership skills beyond, what your specific function is. I think that's very clear to me that you do. The other thing I really like is you didn't sit back. You knew Grant was going to be on this, and that was important, and that's very smart of you to do that. You didn't take a chance on having some Grizzlies that maybe, wouldn't be relevant for you. And I think that shows a lot of initiative. I think it's a very smart thing to do. Position yourself in the right space, and then your delivery was, I thought, outstanding. Overall, for me, I thought, you know what, I would love to fit you in with our company somewhere. The skill set isn't there, but it was the leadership side, I thought, that made a lot of sense to me. So good on you, because I think you've got a very, very bright future and a great personality, especially when you tie the family piece together. So real pleasure meeting you as well.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll jump in just to follow up on what Andy just said. What came across to me was real maturity and skill in business and dealing with people. And like Andy said, that's a leader, even though you haven't had the title before. I'm quite convinced that you act as a leader. Also as a team player and a genuinely nice person. So I'm regardless of, working with Proton, I'm happy to connect with you and provide you, whatever support, that I might. And, it's been a pleasure to meet you. I'm also following the hydrogen industry, not for the same purpose. So I'll continue to follow you and your journey. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, Cheryl.
Just very short comment or couple of comments. Well, first of all, I understand that it's already your third time presenting, right?
Yes.
So well done, and congratulations on being so persistent, because it's not easy to do it again and again. I'm sure it might be quite painful, but well done. So persistence is important. Practice makes it perfect.
I got certified on my second though.
Oh, you did?
Yes. So I don't know the record, but this might be the first time a person got certified twice.
Wow. Well done. Yeah, and of course, as everybody said, you stand out because you show what's your passion, and you show that you're passionate about the future of the province, your family, because well, I'm also first generation immigrant. That's why I can feel it, that we made our decision to be here, have our family here, so we want really a province to be successful. So all the success to you in the future. Well done, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Juliana.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat what was said. I have a couple of very minor comments for you. When I look at the back on your education, the first thing that hits me is there's like a gazillion people that pinch at the top of their resume. You've got a master's degree, so I'm just wondering why you wouldn't consider adding that credential behind your name. I come from education and it all counts, so I would include that because it is a bit of a differentiator as well. And then the other piece is that was a bit unusual for me, was at the bottom where you said you published 3 technical papers, and the curiosity for me was, wonder what those are about. So it was a bit of a tease, I guess. So we never got to ask you that, but I'd certainly be curious to know what it was you published.
Actually, my papers are all have a link of that in my LinkedIn too. So yeah, I mean, it's all about what I guess that it's been a long time, but for me, from not being being on the education point, it's still I still looked at it as an accomplishment, right? So maybe it's not as much for you, Allison, because you're in that.
No,
role.
I think it's an accomplishment. I guess that's my point. It is. So, it's part of your story, right?
Yeah. It's just, it'll be too long if I put it in my resume. So, it's in my LinkedIn.
Right. Okay. Any other comments around the den this morning, or is it picture time?
Well, I'm going to go read your papers, Januar. So since I'm following hydrogen, it sounds like I should be following you rather. So I'm going to go read your papers.
Read my articles about
Yeah.
hydrogen.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to.